Hi, it's Julie from Love's Beginning again. I did have a part two, and I just want to take further the idea of making versus creating. So, I was talking about before when we're projecting disorder into our world, we don't even know it, but I'm just thinking to myself right now, like, do I tell them what we do? I think I should probably just tell you what we do. So, let's say there's a big event that's regarded as disastrous, and it looks to be completely unrelated to you. It is not, because we're connected to everything. There's good news in that, because when you want to help, your mind to mind connection that is always active, is a connection through which you can send peace, healing, love, forgiveness. Um, to know that all is well underneath the surface, and to share that with everybody, to share that with every mind, that all are forgiven automatically, just right out of the gate, and that all that remains is for them to forgive themselves. That can always be shared mind to mind. But the making part, if you experience any stress or anxiety during your day, how do I say this in a way that won't make you blame yourself? Um, it's an indicator that we're in the process of making versus creating. So, projecting disorder out into our world. Then, when we see or experience what feels like disorder in our personal lives, in the lives of those close to us, um, on the world stage, on all these different stages, we're part of that. But it's okay. We were experimenting with what is possible when we made this experience to come into, when we made time to hide out um, in forgetfulness of the eternal now, the eternal here. We made this kind of play world to hide out in. And when we believed we had done wrong in doing it, we stayed here and hid and kept making and making and making versus creating. Creating comes from forgiveness of others and self. I'm pretty sure you have to forgive everyone else before you can forgive yourself. Every time you see yourself blaming someone else, it's an indicator that you haven't forgiven yourself yet for what you think you have done. At some visceral level, you feel like, I have done wrong in separating from my creator. So the important ingredient in forgiveness is to know that you never did successfully separate from your creator. This has been a very convincing illusion, an illusion that you made and believed in. You believed that you successfully separated from your creator and that there would be punishment, or that you threw off the whole balance of the universe through this. But you didn't. You couldn't. It's not throw offable, as, as it was told to me before, and I loved it. It's unfuck upable. You can't, it's not possible. You believed you did the impossible, something bad, really bad, and it was impossible to do. The universe is unfuckupable. That's always very reassuring. And that's the basis of forgiveness. So at the same time, though, you can feel the energy of making, the energy of projecting disorder out into the world. It's a game changer when there's a big event and a villain. Spiritual people, a lot of spiritual people give some time and energy to thinking about what they call the cabal, what they see as a group of big wrongdoers. In a way, in a way, how do I say this without freaking myself or anybody else out? It's a radical suggestion meant to help us understand and forgive everybody and ourselves. That's why I'm saying it this way. In a way, there are puppets. I'll just give a moment for that to sink in. They're puppets of the energy of stress and anxiety that we all pump out there. If they're subscribing to the stress and anxiety, a notion believed that one must chase after false power and gather false power to oneself, because they don't know what real power is. The only power they know is power over others, egoic power, instead of power with all that is. They're acting out that role. We're all acting out a role for us. in demonstration of what we're doing here. And when we wake up to what we're doing, we can see them playing that role as a sort of concentration of the energies of making. Well, how can we respond to this? We could fight them, but that would be, it's not necessarily wrong to do something that looks like confronting or revealing or fighting. It depends on how it feels. It really depends on how it feels. What are you here to do? What is your purpose? Does it go smoothly and naturally for you to do that? Can you do it without hatred in your heart? But otherwise, we are always connected mind to mind to them. And the very first thing we can do to help the world and all the events in it and all the experiences people are having is to quit making, to quit sowing the seeds of stress and anxiety. Now, this is important here. We don't want to blame anybody. We don't want to blame ourselves. Let's say we feel a lot of stress and anxiety. So we think, oh no, I'm one of the worst ones. I feel lots of stress and anxiety. No, it's when you're believing in the illusion as real, you're kind of powered by stress and anxiety. If you look closely, it powers and motivates many, many, many things that you do. You're always trying to fix something or correct something or reach the next goal. And there's disruption in that. So we just all wake up to what we're doing, what we're all doing. And when we're learning how to stop and we're able to feel stress and anxiety, that's thumbs up. That's good. That's congratulate yourself. Don't blame yourself for feeling stress and anxiety and then say, oh no, I'm making rather than creating. I'm going to be responsible for the next big disaster. That's not it. I mean, it's the truth of how those energies work. But we were always meant to wake up, and we're in the process of waking up now. And we don't want to go backwards and start blaming when we're waking up to how things work. We want to be joyful that we're able to feel the stress and anxiety as it arises, that we know what it means, and that we know to just set it down by breathing, coming into the now moment, saying a mantra, but not to use it as a motivator. Not to use it as a motivator. There's something else that comes in, and that's called inspiration. Feels good, feels right. And as we just encourage it more and more and more, it's okay to have these in between times when you've been running on the engine of fear and thinking you got to get somewhere, thinking you got to achieve something, and thinking you got to make something of yourself. When you've been running on this engine, when it dies down, there's a transition period. And that's a time when people can go into depression. They're setting down one engine and they're learning how to let another take over. It's a time when anxiety can intensify. It's what I call the up and out, or what some people call the dark night of the soul. And it can come in cycles. It can come in intense little bursts. It can look like mental illness. And really, if we look at what we call mental illness, it's our sisters and brothers going into questioning, what in Sam Hill are we doing here? And bravely walking outside of conformity and norms to explore, what are we doing here? We're the insane ones. Okay? If we're just very gentle and understand that, where do I start? The basis of our experience here is love. Okay, the basis of our experience on this planet is love. We were allowed to experiment with energies and possibilities because we are love and love powers us. Love is always provided for our free will and our exploration and our learning. So all of that is innocent. But the way we live here is insane because it's a complete lack of recognition of who we are, of the love that powers all, of our oneness, of the fact that all is always forgiven. We can kind of go on blame engines and judgment engines all the time. So the basis of our making here, our collective making, is insanity. Say it slowly and gently. So when there are ones who pop up here and there and over here and over there, and they look to be insane, this is a different way of looking at it. They're actually disturbing our making, questioning our making, and inviting us into sanity. If you think of it as, okay, over here, like there's this, things appear opposite on my screen, so I'm confusing myself. There's this world right here, and then there's this narrowing, there's this tunnel, and then there's actual reality, what actually is. And this tunnel is labeled insanity, okay? Or it's labeled spiritual awakening, or it's labeled the eye of the needle. You have to pass through the eye of the needle. But it's all really the same thing. You go from the perception of what we're experiencing now with our making as the only thing there is, the only way to do things, the thing one must conform to be accepted. You start to question, you start to learn, you start to open your eyes. That's that tunnel. And then you emerge into reality. So if we can think of people who have been labeled insane as they're in this tunnel, they're actually inviting us to something. Yes, there is a way we can support them and come to their aid, but there is also a way to thank them for their bravery in dropping conformity, no matter how it looks. It's the same with addiction. No matter how it looks, no matter how messy it got, and showing us there is something wrong here. We don't know who we are. We don't know how things work. We're like babies in a way. And so it's good and it's right and it's okay for us to reassess absolutely everything and to go through this tunnel ourselves. Not follow into sanity, follow into swimming back toward sanity, toward remembrance of who we are. And a very important ingredient in that is forgiveness. So when that stress comes up, unforgivable, we are forgivable. We're always forgivable. There's never a moment in which we're not forgivable. And forgiveness consists of seeing that there was nothing to forgive. This is a space in which to learn that all has actually been well the whole time. Time is just a concept. Everything we think we've experienced, it's always been now. There's always been balance, order, and harmony underneath everything that we think we've experienced, that we think we've done. But first, here, we stop the making. We understand the message of the stress and anxiety. We settle down. We listen, we learn, we remember, we forgive. Then we allow. From that space, then we allow. There's a way in which everybody allows. There's a way in which inspiration runs everybody. Everybody has a piece of the puzzle. It's not like inspiration has been absent in our experience on earth through all time. Inspiration has always been here, but has it dominated? Well, now is the time when it's coming to dominate, when we're going to allow the flow of all we are as one. And so in each one of our lives, inspiration is going to play a greater and greater role till we just allow the beautiful presence of love that we are collectively to come through each one of us with the flavor of each one of us. It sounds simple when I say it like that. It's beautiful and very soothing. But so this is happening. This is actively happening now. At the same time, these energies that come through to help us out are intense because they help us drop what we don't need. They can feel like insanity, or just exhaustion, because we're putting down, we're finally taking our iron grip off of what we don't need: conformity, fear, rushing to please people, battling against people. What appear to be opposites are actually the same thing. All this struggle, we're putting it down, and we're letting what we are, what has always been there for us very simply flow through us. We're coming to trust that. That's that's the kind of birth process we're going through now. So I hope it's going as well as it can be for you. If it seems really hard, what my attention is always drawn to is the gift wrap, to look under the gift wrap and to be curious and to ask, what is in this for me? There's something in this for me, or I wouldn't be experiencing it right now. So I'm going to be curious about the gift, and I'm going to allow knowledge about the gift to come to me, because knowledge will come to us at our request. There is a knowing that is active and alive in each one of us, and we just have to make the request and maybe let some time go by. Eventually, we won't need to let any time go by because we'll have confidence in this. And then in relaxed moments, we'll allow knowing about what something is for to come to us, and then we'll come to appreciate what it's doing for us. So it's all good. I do offer sessions. If you're having a difficult time, you can go to my website, lovesbeginning.com, and click on sessions. There's always a free option. I just want to make sure everybody who wants a session can have one. So if you want to just talk through any situations that are going on for you, I'm happy to do that. Hope everything's going well.